Thank you, Flame University, the management, the teaching faculties, and very specifically Dr. Smita to invite me. Uh, it's been a privilege to be part of the co-panelist. Deep insights, very rich, very handy for students who are at the doorstep of building their own career. Start with a small analogy for the students. It's a very small story. There was a village where one person was rearing two dogs. One was a black dog and other was a white dog. He used to make these two dogs to fight to each other every week. A lot of people then started seeing these fights, and people used to bet, and a lot of people made money, a lot of people used to lose money. So every week this used to be the schedule which this person, which had a white dog and a black dog, used to make both of them to fight to each other. And every week he made a lot of money. So this was observed by one old person, and after some time he went to this person and said, how is that every time and every week you are able to make these two dogs to fight, and every time you always bet on that winning dog, and every week you are able to win? See, he had a very simple answer. Looking at that old person, he said, I always feed the winning dog in that particular week. So that's why I always bet on that winning dog, and that's why I make money. See, analogy from all of you is COVID. Yes, it has disrupted the entire industry, the entire market. You might all have apprehensions as to how your placements are going to be, how, where, why. Many of you would have even taken loans to do this program. How are you going to repay? There could be so much and so many things. Don't give space and time to your negative thoughts. Always feed your positive mind or your positive dog in your mind. Take small tasks. Keep investing on yourself. Even though you are completing your graduation, post-graduation, and stepping into, that doesn't mean your learning has stopped. This is the place learning actually. Learned so far is you have just studied. I'm not sure how many of you actually learned in the last 2 years apart from the theories, because these theories also holds good in your career in terms of your application day-to-day basis. I would personally advise and request you, very specifically all students and even everybody in today's career, to at least invest on yourself, at least 1.5 hours or max 2 hours a day learning something new. Even if you know the subject, try to unlearn and relearn. Your understanding will be deeper. It will always develop a positive mindset, and it will always come handy to you. Keep investing on yourself. Moving to the topic of how HR is going to transform, or the role of HR in post-pandemic. For the first time, you all should be very happy. In fact, so far in the industry, which I have also seen, many of your teaching fraternities and your co-panelists also would have seen, HR is always treated as a support function, as an enabling function. For the first time, post-pandemic, HR is seen as a driving force. So you are entering into an arena where you will be part of an HR function, which could be a driving force for your organization. Because for the simple reason, there is a massive shift in the way the business would be conducted in future. The massive shift in way people interact, people socialize, people communicate, people even touch and feel each other. Everything would change as far as the workforce is concerned. The post-pandemic has fastened the pace of change of workplace, change of workforce, and also the change of work. Today, if you take post even the pandemic, every employee will have, irrespective of the vaccine hitting the market on time or not, everybody are concerned about their own health, their own well-being, their own family, loved ones' well-being, security of jobs, juggling their family and personal time. Just because the office has entered into their home, it has entered into the privacy, it has entered into the parent space, the children's space, the spouse space. Fortunate few have a separate office within their home. Many are trying to convert a small portion or corner of their home into office and trying to juggle things, be productive. contribute to the organization and things like that. For an HR, it is actually really, really difficult. And I'll tell you why. There are around 7 or 8 reasons which I'll feel it's very difficult for HR working in this new norm. Because there is lack of face-to-face conversation, which you will always have in an office environment. It's basically you're talking to a machine, you're talking to a technological mode or technological medium. It's a very dehumanized way of interacting with people. You're not able to see the feelings, you're not able to see the emotions, you are not able to see the reactions. The third is the distractions are many. A classic case was while starting, we had our own starting trouble, technology glitches, even though today every organization is either on Google Meet or Zoom meetings, but still every Zoom meeting or every other Google Meet is a new meet. You really don't know what happens in the technology and how it tricks you. Classic case was there was always a starting trouble, and we also had a starting trouble. I specifically had a very bad starting trouble too. So distractions are very high. And for your audience as an HR, when you are interacting with your customers, which is basically a lot of your co-colleagues or employees or functionaries and leaders, you really don't know whether you have their focus, you have their attention, because it's more of an information download which happens from HR to the larger organization. In an real-time office, it's very easy because you are able to read people's emotions, you know what are the queries, concerns, and you are instantly able to address that. But in a virtual environment, it's very difficult. And in future, it's very difficult to run an organization with just download. You have to create an experience. You have to design an experience. Uh, and I will touch upon what type of experience you have to create in an entire employee life cycle, how technology plays a part, how data helps as a catalyst and things like that we will see. But I will not take much time. I'll just give you snippets of around 5 or 6, in my opinion, is how HR is going to transform. And these are certain things which I have implemented in my present organization also, and we are able to see some tangible benefits coming out of it. Uh, the next is the employees today across organizations in a virtual environment are working in a vacuum. So stress hits them. The work-life balance has really gone for a toss because the office hours get extended, and it's predominantly through gadgets. Either you always have a earphone, or your eyes are strained, or your ears are strained, and there is a lot of stress. I have got a lot of complaints, and number of complaints across my organization telling they are not able to get a peaceful sleep at night. They always feel something is ringing in their ears, or vibrations or radiations. It could be anything. Uh, so these are the things today which we have in place, and that's where HR will play a very, very pivotal role. Also, one of the biggest challenges which we'd be facing in the new environment is building and driving a culture. Because you can automate everything, technology will help you on everything, but you can never automate a culture. Uh, which predominantly comes from your values, how you use values as a GPS and carry and conduct your business, because of which how your behaviors of your leaders and managers are going to be, which has a direct correlation and what type of culture you are going to build within your organization, and how can people look up to it, pick cues from there, and be more productive. That's a big challenge. A lot of organizations still, it's a very highly debatable topic. Nobody has been able to crack that difficult code. Some organizations, of course, have made some positive steps towards it, but still it's work in progress and a long way to go. The second important component which I would feel is the way the jobs are being designed, and it is going to be one of the biggest challenges for HR is, in usually any organization, you'll always see a job design. Job design is basically comes from a job evaluation process, and it is predominantly top down. It focuses on the job. And we have also experimented this in a small piloted we have done with managers and above in our organization. We have moved from job design to a job craft, a job crafting. Job crafting keeps employee at the fulcrum. It does not keep the organization at the fulcrum like a job design. And it is actually not top down, it is bottoms up. Or it could be a hybrid model of both top down and bottoms up. What it actually talks is an employee or manager is given the flexibility of altering his job. He can have a 20 to 30% customization of how he wants to do the job, in because of which how he is able to be more productive and he'll be able to perform further. So job crafting is something which will definitely be an universal norm in the coming years, in my opinion, because this has given a lot of opportunities. It has also given a lot of areas where we can also improve. The second thing is home is the new office. So this we have started in our organization is helping employees to have their own home at their office in terms of what we did was we had 4 or 5 offices, which are predominantly huge, large offices across in pre-COVID scenario. So we have moved away from all those offices and we have shelled our spaces and we have saved a lot of money. We have moved to smaller places, and what we have done is use that money, give it as a benefit to employees to create a small office in their own home. And that too, we have identified roles, we have identified jobs which need not come to office on an ongoing basis, might be once in a quarter or once in a month is more than sufficient. So we have helped them to create their own office in terms of infrastructure, in terms of a very secluded space, in terms of what can the etiquettes that can be adopted by the employee even when he is working officially at home. Could be with broadband infrastructures, it could be laptops, it could be how to work in a virtual environment, how to, and also more importantly, help him to conduct business in a virtual manner. Because so far in a normal pre-COVID scenario, we never had this types of requirement in terms of training and development. So these are new requirements which have emerged, and these are certain things which we have adopted. The third thing is redesigning HR. And what I mean by redesigning HR is if you really look at the entire employee experience, it starts with application experience, candidate experience, recruitment/onboarding experience, then moves to talent experience, then performance experience, then learning experience, growth experience, and then exit experience and alumni experience. So if you really see, HR is one portfolio where you had a lot of touch points. In some of my previous organizations where I used to work, we had this culture of work from home because they were multinationals which were based out of continental Europe, where 90% of the workforce worked from home, and we had embraced this long back. But HR being HR and has a very high touch point, it's expected that you have to be there where the action is. You have to be there in the delivery floor or the shop floor to make an impact. And that is where you need to be very, very people-centric, people-oriented in terms of how you are going to ensure these experiences are seamlessly being benefited. Just for example, when you do a conventional onboarding in pre-COVID, when you have a new employee joining, is there is a cake cutting session, there is flowers, there is bouquet, there is a welcoming, there is a team lunch, the manager is there to welcome, the hiring reporting manager is there to welcome the new employee. So it is it's a nice way of welcoming and embracing a new colleague. But that has moved absolutely different in a virtual environment. It needs a different set of experience. At the same time, it requires that type of passion and diligence from not only the HR, more than the HR, because the relationship is always honed by the reporting manager. So ensuring the reporting manager is able to give that type of welcoming and embracing to the employee will determine the success of that employee and the quality of year and the productivity of the employee in the first year of joining. Second major thing is in terms of is employee engagement. When I say employee engagement, there are two types of engagement. One is the job engagement, and that is the second is the organization engagement. The job engagement is predominantly driven by the reporting manager. The organization engagement is driven by the leadership or the CXO teams. But if there is an issue in the job engagement with the reporting manager, then the coupling and the bonding is not very tight. Or on the contrary, if the job engagement is very tight and very good and the organization engagement is very loose, also it has its own repercussions. So you might find if the manager leaves, you will also find a lot of employees also following that manager. So it's a very fine balance, and this is one of the biggest challenges which today as an HR we face in creating the right type of employee engagement, to give the right type of employee engagement in a virtual environment that you are totally relying on technologies. Yeah, technology plays a part, and one of the weakest links, if you see in the entire HR, I had seen across organizations. It's not that I am against that particular role, but I always found the HRBP role seems to be the very weakest link in any HR function. It's not the COEs, it's always the HRBP. There are three reasons for that. One is they lack the business acumen which they are supposed to have. The second is in terms of the technical expertise. When I say technical expertise, sound knowledge of all the HR concepts in conjunction with data literacy. The third is the digital literacy. There is a lot of, it's still the role, if you really see HRBP is still evolving. So this is where I see technology will play a part in the new post-COVID, where things like artificial intelligence and things like that will come take over, and might be the coming years, if not in the next 5 years or so, I'm sure this HRBP role will get diminished and it might take a different shape, and that particular role will be taken over by a technology or a robo. And the robo could be a very virtual robo, and assume if somebody has Shah Rukh Khan as is lifetime hero or is dream personality, yeah, the virtual robo can be a Shah Rukh Khan, and all you require is you have to go into a capsule or put up, and if you have a particular concern, query and things like that, you put a earphone and click on that, you ask your questions, that particular robo in the imposture of Shah Rukh Khan will give you what to do, how to do, and why to do, and the message reaches the depth. One of the biggest challenges HRBP faces is building that psychological connect with the larger workforce. Because of the nature of the job, because how jobs and the expectations are keep changing every day, they are unable to keep pace, and I very strongly feel technology will take over this space. Also, if you really see in the new scenarios, you might find a lot of functions like talent acquisition, or even to some extent employee engagement, or in terms of compensation, rewards and recognition. These are areas I think slowly technology will take over. There are certain fields like culture building, there are certain fields like organization development in terms of development centers and assessment, and all these things is what will be very people dependent, HR professionals dependent. All other things I think I see 5 to 7 years time frame will get automized. The last but not the least, which I will always feel, which as an HR professional, there are two expectations from HR. One is what is the value impact HR creates to an organization? The next is what is the cost impact? The value impact is basically what in terms of talent pipeline, what in terms of leadership development, what in terms of high performance culture. These are the values which HR creates. The second is the cost impact in terms of benefits, in terms of compensation, in terms of other associated expenses, how HR helps the organization optimize cost. These are the fundamental two aspects. The cost aspect, I don't see much change happening in the next post-COVID, but in terms of value impact, I think HR will play a huge role, how it actually changes the landscape in coming years. These are some of my few thoughts. I don't want to clutter you with a laundry list. In my opinion, small is always beautiful. Take 3 or 4 things which are emerging, which is going to add value to the organization. And I would always bucket it as top 3, next 3, and future 3. Anything more than 3, not sure. It's nice to say, but in terms of implementation, you'll always dilute it and it gets dissolved in the large organization. These are my thoughts post-COVID, how HR is going to transform. Thank you.